Hello my friends and welcome back to another video. Today's video I am not excited to film because honestly I feel like I'm gonna get hurt by this video. I think I'm gonna take this very personally and I'm gonna get my feelings hurt. I am reading 1-star reviews of my favorite books. I saw Nakia from Nakia's Hideaway do this video and it was so funny watching her react to the reviews, and I was sitting there being like, should I do this? Because I just know I'm gonna be really upset. My feelings are gonna get hurt. So I decided to torture myself and do it for entertainment for you all. This is your entertainment. I have a list of books that are some of my favorite books that I'm going to read 1-star reviews of. I'm getting the 1 stars off of Goodreads. If you know who wrote these reviews or if you wrote the reviews, this is not personal. I'm not doing this maliciously. This is all in good fun. I understand that books are completely subjective and we all have completely different opinions on books. This is just for fun and to torture myself. I'm not gonna try to take it too personally, but I probably will be a little sad. So let's read some 1-star reviews, I guess. The first book that I'm going to read the reviews about is Slew Foot by Brahm. I absolutely adore this book. I think it is beautiful. I think it is amazing, wonderful, perfect. I love everything about this book. I think it's wonderful. I will never shut up talking. I will never shut up or stop talking about this book. That's what I keep trying to say. So let's go look at the reviews. Actually, there's not that many 1-star reviews to read, so I'm not super worried. The first one says, just was so boring. The setting and characters had promise, but after a few chapters, it starts going nowhere. I mean, I'm gonna have to disagree. It doesn't go nowhere. There is a plot and it does go somewhere. So disagree. Also disagree that it was boring. Not boring at all. I thought it was extremely entertaining and engaging and I loved every single second of it. I loved every single second of it. Okay, next. Loved Krampus from this author, but this book was stale and boring throughout the whole thing. Barely any payoff at the end. Barely any payoff? The ending is okay, no, it's fine. Boring drama throughout, constant monotony. Brahm, I trusted you after Krampus and you betrayed me. Okay, one, I don't think Krampus is as good as Slew Foot at all. I hands down do not believe that Krampus was as good as Slew Foot. So I'm gonna disagree. Also, it's not boring. Is everyone just gonna call this book boring? This is gonna hurt my feelings. Also, it's not boring drama. Okay, but also there was payoff at the end. The end is incredible, but whatever. No, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I made it to about 25%, then gave up. Okay, so you DNF'd. Got it. I was initially excited about this one because I was expecting an exciting witchy story. Sadly, it was very slow and boring. Does everyone think this book is boring? Okay, I read a completely different book than everyone on here. I'm sorry. A horror novel featuring a heroine in the 1600s with a 2020 attitude, and it's boring on top of it. Okay, I don't like that comment, but that's fine. That's fine. No, it's fine. I get it. It's not boring. How many times am I gonna have to fight people saying it's not boring? Okay, that's all of them. All the others are just 1 stars without any explanation. So everyone thinks Slew Foot's boring. Well, I'm going to have to highly disagree. It was incredible. Okay, this is gonna hurt. I know this is gonna hurt me real bad. We're gonna do a Darcy and we're gonna start with The Haunting of Ashburn because it's one of my favorites. Yeah, I don't want to read these, so okay, let's go. Oh, this is a really long one. Okay. The story was stagnant. The author went into great detail about mundane and irrelevant things such as every step to making tea several times a day. Adrian started to become irritating because every day she thought about the same things and the words the author chose were strange. Well, I would like to say that as someone who lives a mundane life, I do think about the same things kind of every day. So I would say it's actually kind of realistic, but not, you know, whatever, that's fine. That's fine. I felt like a find and replace thesaurus was overused. Many times I had to reread paragraphs because they didn't make sense. I disagree. I don't feel that way, but whatever. The word groan is used 44 times. Groan. That's a great example of the repetitiveness. You counted how many times groan was used. How can the sun feel beautiful on your skin? Actually, okay, wait. I mean, a beautiful feeling does exist. Like, okay, no, that's fine. How can it set on top of the trees? Okay, okay, no, all right, no, it's fine. Why did she keep buying dry cardboard noodles for herself but expensive cat food for Wolfgang? Actually, I would buy the cheapest, most awful food for myself and buy my dog whatever she wanted to eat. If I needed to save money to buy my dog's food that was more expensive than my own, I would eat nothing for that. So I don't know if you don't have a pet, so maybe you just don't understand, but like I would sacrifice my own food for my dog's food, but to each their own. If the portraits were that creepy, why not take them down? Okay, so basically what I'm getting is you have a problem with every single thing about this book. Let's do this one. Wow, these are really long. I'm an avid mystery thriller horror reader, and every time I'm at Barnes & Noble, there's a shelf of this woman's books next to even more shelves of Stephen King novels. I've never heard of her and was very excited to discover a new profound horror author. So I read this in less than 12 hours at 329 pages. It definitely had my attention, but this attention was towards how much I wanted the main character to just die a slow, painful death for being so stupid. Okay, that's rude, but sure. I liked Adrian a lot. I really liked her as a character. But okay, you know, let's keep going. If I was 10 years old, I'd probably give it 5 stars for some creepy scene. But this is geared towards adults who gave up R.L. Stine when they were kids and laugh at how scary, cheesy it was and great it was back then. You spelled R.L. Stine wrong, which I'm not trying to nitpick you. I just wanted to point it out. It's fine. I take offense to that because I am 27 years old and I gave The Haunting of Ashburn 5 stars. And I don't think giving a book 5 stars equates to your age or like your intelligence. So I do think that's a little mean, but that's fine. When a girl makes, she's not a girl, she's a woman, but that's okay. Makes a major life decision to move into a house with just $20 and nothing else in 2016. I just had to laugh at every decision she made through this entire book and just wanted her to get slashed to pieces for being written so dumb. Okay, one, you can guarantee that if I only had $20 to my name and I was given a free house, I would move in. If I was in her situation and I was down on my luck and I needed a place to stay, and I was given this house from a long-lost relative that I didn't know, and it was in decent condition, yeah, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it. So if that's dumb, I don't know, sorry, then maybe I'm an idiot. A 5-year-old could read this and question every stupid decision this main character made and not understand the whys of this novel because there wasn't anything leading up to these whys. A 5-year-old could plot a better strategy to survive this horror thriller novel just by referencing the internet in less than 30 seconds. I do find it offensive when people kind of refer to age, like a 5-year-old could know this is stupid. I don't know. I just think that's a little rude. I find this review is kind of aggressive to me. Just feels very like, nah, you know? This one says, no, I just know. Okay. This one says weak and hackneyed. The cat was the only likable character. I don't understand all the praise-filled reviews. Okay. This one says, nope, not for me. I was bored and really struggled to finish it. The uninteresting details were so repetitive. How many times is this woman going to make tea? How many times do we need to hear about those portraits on the wall? As many times as she wants to talk about, because it's her life, so, but that's fine. I did not care about the main character. She was uninteresting and lacked depth. The way the story unfolded and ended, ugh, I just didn't enjoy it at all. Okay, so, okay, I'm done. I can't read any more of these. They're making me so mad. Look, I get it. Darcy is not for everyone. I understand. I get it. I totally get it. I do think some of them are a little harsh, but I rarely give out 1-star reviews, so maybe I'm crazy. Honestly, I have a feeling that any of Darcy's reviews, like negative reviews, are going to be about her main characters, but we'll do Voices in the Snow. How about that? Yeah, I already know where these are gonna go. Okay, let's go to 1 stars. I don't know if I want to read these, but this one says slow, slow, slow. Okay. I mean, fair. This one says, not my cup of tea. I don't know how to review this other than say it is truly an awful book. I skimmed the last half of it even though I disliked the silly characters and the story itself. I'm going to stop there. Suffice to say, I gave it 1 star. I think it's a little confusing to say it's not your cup of tea, but then say it's an awful book. I understand it not being for you. That's completely fair. But to say it's just awful because it's not for you, I don't think it technically makes a book awful just because you didn't like it. Or it's not your kind of story. Oh, these are so long. I was excited to read this book. I wanted to get back into horror and find something that wasn't by Stephen King, so when I saw this in the horror section at Barnes & Noble, I read the back and was looking forward to it. A horror book written by a woman. Oh, yay. The book must have been in the wrong section. It should have been in the romance section because it was far more romance than horror, and that was not what I was here for. By the 3rd quarter of this book, I was reading it daily just so I could finish it faster and move on to a better book. The 2 protagonists in this book to me have zero chemistry with each other, so the only way I could see them becoming romantic was because Doran has basically never seen another woman that wasn't a worker or his family, and he needed someone to be all manly and protective over, and Claire was just a damsel in distress who needed someone to protect her. I hated both of these people, and once again by the 3rd quarter I was rooting for the Hollows to just kill them already. I'm gonna disagree. I think Doran and Claire had great chemistry. I also don't think it's because they had never, like, I don't think it's because Doran had never seen a woman before or that Claire just needed someone to protect too. I think they were forced into a close proximity and realized they had feelings for each other, but I understand that not everyone likes romance. I completely understand. Completely understand that that is not for everyone, so I get it. The thing I liked about this story was the Hollows. They were creepy and all lurky, and I enjoyed that, but the last big thing that happened was too quick and was so painfully disappointing. See, fair, except for that's gonna come back up later, so there's a point to why that happened, because this is a series, it's not just one book. I think a lot of people think this is just one book, but this is a series, so I think that's the problem. While I really wanted to like this book, I can't. By the end of it, I had more complaints than compliments, and my eyes hurt from rolling them so much over this stale and grossly overprotective / overly in need of protection couple. Okay, disagree. disagree. I'll read one more because this is like frustrating for me to read, but it's fine. Not Darcy Coates' best. Much of the story was the same thing over and over with not much happening. When you finally do get to the 3rd act, it was a bit of a letdown. I still love this author and plan to read others of hers, but this one didn't grab my interest and was difficult to finish. That doesn't sound like a 1 star to me, but I mean, ratings mean different things to other people. I completely understand that if you don't like this book compared to other Darcy books, that's totally fine. But again, I think people are not understanding that this is a series and that this is just, like, I think they think this is a standalone. So the ending does make sense later on. So But, you know, that's fine. Okay, I'm actually terrified of the reviews for The Haunting of Lee Harper. I feel like I know what people are gonna say about this one. Okay, let's continue. Okay. 1 star. DNF. Monotone and repetitive. You DNF'd it and then you gave it 1 star. A little confusing. I don't typically rate books I DNF. The only time I really rate a book that I DNF'd is, I think it's only been once, and it's because I found it super problematic. And I only rated it because I got it through NetGalley. But, worst Darcy Coates book I have ever read. Fair? Fair. Okay. I have enjoyed Darcy Coates' writing, but this one was just too strange and kind of morbid. It is a horror novel. Morbid is kind of... it's kind of implied in the horror genre, but okay, sure. Derivative of far better media works. Obvious, far, far, far too convenient, drags an annoying, whiny, repetitive protagonist. Ending makes no sense. I think I'm done with Coates. I don't understand how the ending didn't make sense. I thought it was pretty obvious. Man, whiny. I don't think the protagonist was whiny, because if you kind of read the book, you kind of understand why the protagonist is whiny. I don't think it's derivative at all, but that's fine. Have enjoyed other Darcy Coates books, but I'm afraid I didn't get far with this one. I was totally bored. Despite trying to stick with it, I only made it to 25% before giving up on it. Another DNF. Okay, and then there's just 1 stars with no explanation. Okay, that one wasn't as hurtful. Okay. But I disagree with all of those. So next, we're gonna do Confessions by Kane Minato. This one is one of my favorite books of all time. It was incredible. So I'm gonna be upset about this. How did this book get such a high average rating? The story of a woman teacher recounting a very long story to a group of middle school age children. The story involves the death of a woman's child. Yeah, interesting premise, except for it makes no sense. Not in any way you look at it. What doesn't make sense? No group of kids would sit still for such a long and boring tale. OMG, they'd be falling over in their chairs. And why do this? Why not go to the police? Yeah, okay. There's some long, irrational, convoluted reason the teacher didn't do this, but also supposedly, yeah, okay. There's some spoilers in here. I'm not trying to read those. There is a reason why the teacher didn't go to the police. There's a very big reason, and that's what happens in the end, so I thought that was pretty obvious. I read halfway, could not finish, but read long enough to know this just, never mind, 1 star, glad that's over. I disagree so much with your review. I disagree so much. Also, I think you did not understand the book. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think you really got it, which is totally fair. Honestly, very boring. I mean, the premise is quite unique. The story is told from different perspectives each chapter, which is exactly where the problem lies. You get the same story over and over again. I mean, I agree to an extent, but the different perspectives offer different things. They are very different from each other, so I do disagree. You do get more from the different perspectives. It's not, I think if it was just told from the teacher's perspective, it would be completely boring. There are some small plot twists when one character reveals something that the others didn't know from their point of view, but then other than that, you just basically get the same chapter 5 times. I don't think any of the plot twists were small. I thought they were all very big, but okay. What I'm saying is that it gets repetitive pretty fast and there is no intrigue left anymore after chapter 1. I nearly fell asleep. Okay, well, no, I disagree. If I could give this book negative stars, I would. It is hands down the worst book I have read for this challenge. I don't even understand how it was picked. For what challenge? I don't know what challenge they're talking about, but for a challenge, it's the worst book. I think that's a strong opinion. Not sure if this was just a poor translation of a Japanese book or if the actual story is just this awful. Okay. That actually hurts really badly. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. I can't believe people thought that was boring. I really don't want to read 1-star reviews of Penpal by Dathan Auerbach either, but that's exactly what we're gonna do. And I'm very nervous because I know why a lot of people hate this one too. So, this is like reading an exceedingly long Reddit post. That's because it started as one. Yeah, it is a Reddit no sleep story. Most of this author's fans are Redditors, and I guess they think it merits 5 stars because they're used to reading Reddit comments all day. And yes, as a Reddit comment, it is exceptional, but as a book, it is barely readable. I mean, technically you're reading it on Reddit and then reading it as a book, so it's kind of the same. I don't really understand how it doesn't... I don't know, I don't really get that, but I mean, maybe some people had problems reading it from Reddit to book form, but to me, I don't really see a disconnect. That's just my opinion though, I don't know. It rambles endlessly. For instance, it shouldn't take a whole page to describe 2 10-year-olds playing rock, paper, scissors. I don't think it's rambling. I think it's more of like a stream of like consciousness, because it's like it's the non-linear format. It's like, it's about the main character diving into their childhood to figure out what happened. But okay. It could have been a good story. I don't know, because I couldn't even get myself to finish it, but it's not good writing. I do want to go ahead and encourage this fledgling author to keep writing though. Your first attempt at a book is kind of like a first attempt at cooking. You're probably going to have to throw it out. I mean, I don't agree with that. I don't think that's true. I don't think your first attempt is always going to be the worst attempt. And also, I think it's kind of mean to say just throw it away. I mean, even if you do learn and grow from your first, you know, experience of writing or whatever, I don't think that means that your first book is so bad that it shouldn't exist. So it's kind of like a backhanded compliment, like, keep writing, you'll get better, but this, garbage. I made the mistake of buying into the hype of almost 100% 5-star reviews on Amazon, knowing full well that the book started as a Reddit thread, and that those reviews were probably the full-throated support of the community. I mean, I technically never read it on Reddit, so... I mean, I liked the book, even though I never read it on Reddit, so... I really wanted to like it, but this isn't a novel. It's glorified forum post. The story is all telling to the point where nobody seems to have any real personality. The non-linear format is definitely confusing for some people, and it's not some people's favorites. But I don't think making a forum post into a book makes it not book worthy, because there are different kinds of books, like including emails and text messages and stuff like that in like those kinds of formats into books, and that still is considered a novel. So I think they just have a problem with how it's written. The structure was interesting but formulaic. Long, semi-creepy story, twist ending, repeat in next section. And I just felt like it didn't come together very well in the end. I also felt like there were too many unanswered questions and too many instances where characters' actions were unrealistic or unjustified. Fair, I guess. That's your opinion. Let it be known that I feel like a real heel when I give 1-star reveals, so let me at least try to make amends by stating that I think Mr. Auerbach shows potential. He's just not quite there yet. I think a few years of practice and rejection, no more self-publishing will sharpen him up into a great horror suspense thriller writer. When that day comes, I'd be willing to give his work another shot. I actually think that's really disrespectful to discredit self-published authors. You don't need a big publishing company to be a good writer. I think that's a little backhanded. I think some reviewers think we have this like full knowledge of like if someone's a good writer, but just because you don't enjoy their work doesn't mean that they're a bad writer. You just don't like their writing. That doesn't make them a bad author. So that just comes off very backhanded and mean to me. But I don't like that about self-publishing. I think that's really disrespectful. You don't need a big publishing house to be an author. You can self-publish, and I've met a lot of great authors who self-publish their work, and it's a you know, it's something that some people have to do. You can't always get into a big publishing house. So I thought that was a little harsh. I don't know, it just comes off very condescending in my opinion. Okay, we'll read one more. I hate leaving bad reviews, but this was just awful. So many holes in the story, it was hard to finish. Not sure how it's gotten good reviews. Thumbs down. Disagree, but you know, that's fine. I feel like they're just rolling off my back now because I'm just so used to these like negative reviews that I'm like, yeah, okay, you hated it. I get it. I understand. Next, we're gonna do Uzumaki by Junji Ito because this is one of my favorite mangas of all time and I absolutely love it. So let's see what people have to say. 1 star. Looking at all these spirals has made me literally dizzy. The premise of being locked inside a town was terrifying though. Why is it 1 star if you liked it? It sounds like you liked it. It doesn't sound like you hated it. This sounds like you actually liked it. Why'd you rate it 1 star? I'm confused. I could not, for the life of me, take any of this talk about spirals seriously. There was hardly a single touch of reasonable camp to redeem itself, even just a little bit. It failed to sustain a cohesive through line, concrete characterization, allegorical significance, or at the very least a deeper sense of something actually frightening. You can only get so far with pretty artwork. Wow! That is so harsh. That is actually so harsh. I actually do think there is a deeper story inside of Uzumaki. I don't think they really understand what Junji Ito was trying to convey. And yes, it's not reasonable. It's Junji Ito. He's not known for like the super realistic. I mean, it's a spiral. So, I mean, yeah, I think you're gonna have to kind of go with it at that point. I would even argue that the level of craft taken in illustrating each panel had only intensified the basal innatity of Uzumaki. Just couldn't win with this one. This behemoth of a graphic novel was doubtlessly overkill. Wow! That is such a mean review. Like, that's actually really harsh. And I also disagree wholeheartedly. Ouch, that was really harsh. I actually think it's not accurate at all either. I don't think they really understood the story of Uzumaki. This one says, I enjoy the weirdness and the creepy atmosphere, but after attempting several of Ito's books, I have to accept that I dislike how he handles characters. There's a pretty common thread of misanthropy in horror that I just find off-putting, and Junji Ito's work gives me that feeling way too strongly. He just seems to hate his characters, and the contempt makes it hard to follow anything else regardless of how interesting his ideas are. I feel like I would love horror if it weren't for the personality types attracted to it. Don't think he hates his characters, but I think he makes them not... I think the point is for them to not be all good people or all likable. That's kind of what you get with horror, though. The characters aren't going to be redeemable all the time. Not every person in real life is a good person constantly. We all have flaws. We all make mistakes. We all have issues. So making characters these perfect things don't make sense, and I don't think he hates his characters. This one says, I'm not a fan of horror by any means, so I think the 1 star is as high as I can go. You don't like horror, but you read a horror manga and then didn't like it. Why are you reading a horror manga if you know you're not gonna like it? I don't understand. Obviously, there's more gruesome and disgusting manga out there, but I think this novel was enough to last me a lifetime. As far as artwork, Ito is amazing at creeping me out and drawing spirals that will haunt my dreams forever. He is a master at letting the audience know that when they turn the next page, it will be a disturbing image that will burn into your brain and then devour your brain because it's that demented. At least it wasn't full of gore, but I've seen enough contorted bodies and terrifyingly disturbing images to appreciate not living in this poor small town. So this novel does make you appreciate the small things in life as long as they are not in spiral form. As far as storyline, it was very easy to read and get invested in. I wanted to keep reading and find out these characters made it or not. Really, it was like any horror film where you watch people getting killed off by one. It was like reading this book. It was like reading this book was a spiral of bad decisions. I don't regret reading it, or do I? I keep going back and forth. But I've noticed that the spirals are also taking over my own life. Will this book make me insane too? Will I be consumed by the spiral? Somebody please help. That doesn't make sense. Why did you rate it 1 star? You literally liked it. But you said you're not a horror fan, so you can't go, you don't like horror, and you're not a horror fan, so you don't want to give it anything higher than a 1 star, but you enjoyed it, and it creeped you out, and it did its job. That is actually the most ridiculous thing I've ever read in my entire life. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever read in my entire life. The most insane review. That actually really irritates me. That actually makes me really upset. Okay. I'm gonna leave it that one because that literally makes me so angry. Okay, next up, Little Secrets by Jennifer Hillier. Let's go. I was planning to review this book, but I don't think it's worthy of one. The author clearly read too many mediocre domestic thrillers and thought she could also write one. Youch, that's really mean. I get it. Domestic thrillers are a domestic thriller. Like, you're gonna get what you get, and you either like them or you don't, so I understand. I need to take a break from disappointing thrillers. The end. That's the review. Awful writing, stupid plot, easy to figure out, not reading this author again. Okay. Oh god, I don't know if I want to read this one. Okay. I should apologize for my scathing review beforehand. This is the first book I have read by Jennifer Hillier. Although I am not one to usually write reviews, I felt compelled to. I found it hard to relate to any of the characters, and perhaps I was most sympathetic towards Marin and the grief she bore for losing her child. I thought Mackenzie's character was arguably self-indulgent. She had little remorse towards her actions. It was almost grueling reading her character arcs and her trying to justify her actions. Derek was another unlikable character. He lacked substance and was the dime a dozen typical adulterous philanderer. And all in all, I made for a lazy Sunday read. There were not many redeeming qualities to be said. All you said was that you didn't like the characters. And that's it. This book was just all right. I know I'm in the minority on this one, but I thought it was overhyped and predictable. The first couple chapters were really good, but then it started focusing on another part of the plot and stayed there for the majority of the book. I wanted it to be about the kidnapping and all that went on in the search for the main character's child, but it was hardly mentioned after the first chapters. Maybe I'm being harsh, but oh well. You just said the book was all right. If the book was all right, why'd you give it 1 star? Well, 1 star for me is like, I hardly ever rate a book 1 star. 1 star means like absolute trash to me. Ugh, these make no sense to me. I don't understand. I literally don't understand. This book came highly recommended from one of my favorite Instagram follows, Maybe a Bad Baseline, and was awful. So slow, so predictable, no likable characters. Maybe 10 pages were interesting. Wish I didn't finish it. I mean, I don't think it's bad to take recommendations from people you follow on Instagram. I do that all the time. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. It's not slow. I didn't find it predictable. And yes, the characters are kind of unlikable. That's kind of the point. Okay, next up we have Cackle by Rachel Harrison. This was one of my favorite books of 2021. And I already understand why people are going to give it 1 star. I already understand. I already know. Here we go. I was looking forward to reading Cackle, especially right before Halloween, but this disappointed, though the premise was spot on. My biggest caveat was how much I despised Annie. She is the mascot of Dicks Before Chicks. She constantly whines about being alone, needing a man in her life. She is that chick whose life can only be fulfilled by a dick. I mean, to be fair, she just got her heart broken, so she's kind of grieving the loss of her relationship and kind of grieving her life that she was living with that partner. And I don't think that's really a fair comment to make, because everyone takes breakups a little bit differently. Yes, her ex-boyfriend of 10 years is a dick. I agree, but sometimes it takes a while for the person out of the relationship to realize that they're better off not in that relationship. So I do think it's a little mean, but that's fine. It's clear that I would not be Annie's friend. She personifies what I despise in women like her. Ditching your friends to hang out with your man, having your life revolve around a man, having no thoughts or interests or ambitions of your own except what you man was. I mean, I think that's really... I think you're kind of not understanding that Annie was going through a period of time and then had to like relearn how to live. 10 years is a whole decade. That's a long time to spend with someone and live your life with someone and have your world revolve around someone, and to have that change is gonna upend your life. It's gonna make your life kind of spiral. So I do think some of her actions were questionable, but you have to give her leniency. Like, she was learning. She had to come into her own. She had to learn for herself. That's not an abnormal thing. This book features a spider named Ralph. That's really all you need to know. I think that someone's elbow got jostled at the last second and they were about to click the corny chick lit genre, and the horror genre button got selected instead. Yeah, I knew people were gonna harp on the fact that it's not really horror. I don't think it's corny chick lit, but that's fine. DNF, heavy on the chick lit and not enough witchy activity. Gave up on the book because not only was it boring, but the main character was unlikable and stupid. This book felt like it had very little to do with anything horror related. To be fair, I do understand the lack of horror. I don't discredit that. I do agree that it's not as horror as it's being marketed as. I think the words chick lit are just kind of demeaning. Honestly, I don't like that. I don't like that term, just personally. I don't like to call it that, but no, just no. I kept reading and reading, expecting and expecting. Ultimately, I was let down by this book. Okay. Okay. No plot in sight. Not a single plot was had. There's a plot, but that's fine. Personally, I didn't find it witty, charming, feminist, or anything it was labeled to be. I found it juvenile, pointless, and annoying. Possibly one of my least favorite main characters. The spider was cool, I guess. Okay. I hated the main character. We get it. You need validation from men. I don't like these comments. I don't think she needs validation from men. I think she's just lost. She's trying to find herself. And honestly, these comments are kind of mean, like, because I don't know how other people are dealing with breakups. I will give it to the people that said it's not horror enough. I agree. I do think it's mismarketed as horror. I think it's more of like a mystery kind of book, if you want to give it that, but it's not really. It's more like a heartwarming, sweet book. I'm done. I can't read anymore. These were so mean. Oh my gosh, some of these are so harsh. I'm like, I don't think this is an enjoyable experience. This is very hurtful to my soul. This was soul crushing. But fair enough, I know we all have different opinions and feelings. But these were kind of painful to read, I'm not gonna lie. They kind of hurt me in my soul. So I hope you enjoyed for your entertainment. Please don't ever make me do this again. This was heartbreaking for me. But if you enjoyed, please give me a thumbs up. It lets me know what kind of content you enjoy from me. That way I can keep providing you with that kind of content. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. We can become friends, talk about books, movies, manga, spooky things, all that fun stuff. And I hope you are having a wonderful day, night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!